Welcome back to Top 10 Magazine. My name is Tom, and in this video, we want to delve into a chilling and thought-provoking topic, the top 10 youngest killers in modern history.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more top 10 videos like this one.
Number 1. Eric Smith. At 13, Eric Smith was bullied because of his thick glasses, freckles, long red hair and one other quality: he had protruding, elongated ears. These were believed to be a side effect of medicine his mother had taken for her epilepsy when she was pregnant. Police charged Smith with the murder of a 4-year-old boy named Derek Roby. The younger child had been strangled, had large rocks dropped on his head, and had been sodomized with a small stick. When asked why he did it, Smith cannot give a definite answer. A psychiatrist diagnosed Smith with intermittent explosive disorder, a condition in which a person cannot control inner rage. Smith was convicted and went to prison. Number 2. Joshua Phillips. What started as a regular room cleaning ended with the conviction of a 14-year-old boy named Joshua Phillips. His mother went to clean up his room one morning after Phillips left for school. Mrs. Phillips noticed a wet spot under her son's bed and thought it was a leak from his waterbed. As she was investigating the bed to see if it needed to be drained, she found electrical tape holding the frame together. She thought her son had known about leak but didn't want to get into trouble. She removed enough tape to discover her son's sock underneath, but she was surprised to feel something cold. The beam of her flashlight showed her the dead body of Maddie Clifton, an 8-year-old neighbor who had been missing for 7 days. Number 3. George Stinney. On June 16, 1944, the United States set a record when they executed George Stinney, 14 years old, the youngest person to be legally executed in the U.S. during the 20th century. George was convicted of the murder of 2 girls named Betty June Binnicker, 11, and Mary Emma Thames, 8, who were both found in a muddy hole. The girls suffered severe fractures to their skulls, inflicted by a railroad spike found some distance from the town. George confessed to the crime and said that he wanted to have sex with Betty but ended up killing the girls. He was tried and sentenced to death in the electric chair. The case was not appealed because his family had no money to pay for a continuation. Number 4. Lionel Tate. What might be thought of as a regular TV wrestling match led to the death of a 6-year-old girl named Tiffany Unick. Kathleen Grosset Tate was trusted to babysit Tiffany and brought her over to her house one evening. She left Tiffany with her son Lionel, age 14, to watch the television when she went upstairs. Around 10 p.m., she yelled at the children to be quiet, but didn't check what the noise was about, thinking that they were just playing. 45 minutes later, Lionel called to his mother and told her that the girl was not breathing. He explained that they had been wrestling and he had her in a headlock as he slammed her on the table. Authorities were called and a medical examiner reported that the cause of death was due to forceful stomping that lacerated Tiffany's liver. Aside from that, experts testified that the girl suffered a fractured skull and rib, swelling in the brain from a beating that lasted from 1 to 5 minutes, and 35 other injuries. Number 5. Dale Loukaitis. On February 2, 1996, the Frontier Middle School was devastated by a hostage-taking incident and shooting spree that occurred in an algebra class. It took the lives of 3 people, 2 students and a teacher, and resulted in the critical injury of 1 student. The person accused was a 14-year-old boy named Dale Loukaitis, who was experiencing delusional and messianic thoughts before the shooting. Barry was dressed to look like a gunslinger from the Wild West in a black duster, and armed with a .30-30 caliber rifle, a .357 caliber pistol and a .25 caliber pistol that belonged to his father. The students were held hostage for 10 minutes before a gym coach tricked and outwitted the boy. It was believed that, aside from a history of mental illness and dysfunctional issues in his family, Barry was influenced by Pearl Jam's song and video Jeremy.
Don't forget to like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel for more top 10 videos like this one.
Number 6. Craig Price. Joan Heaton, 39, along with her 2 daughters, Jennifer, 10, and Melissa, 8, were found lifeless, blood-soaked and brutally murdered in their home on September 4, 1989. The authorities believed that burglary was the suspect's main motive. The knife used was from the Heatons' kitchen and the women had possibly caught the suspect and fought against him. It was also believed that the burglar must have been someone from the Heatons' neighborhood, who would have obtained a cut or wound in the hand, due to the force and number of times the victims were stabbed. Craig was spotted by the police with a bandage on his hand, but said that he had smashed a car's window. The police did not believe his story. They investigated him and charged him after finding the knife, gloves, and other bloody items when they searched Craig's room. He admitted to the crime and to another murder that had taken place in the neighborhood 2 years earlier. Number 7. Graham Young. At an early age, Graham Young had been fascinated with chemistry, particularly types of poison and their effects on people. Young started experimenting with poisons when he was 14. He usually lied about his age, and explained that a given poison was for a school experiment so he could buy the chemicals he needed. His family and friends were his victims. His father, upon becoming ill, originally thought he just had a virus of some sort. Then the apparent illness struck his wife and daughter. All suffered from continuous vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach pains. In 1962, the mother of Young's stepmother died from poisoning. At 14, Young already had the expertise of a postgraduate chemistry student, all self-learned through library books. He sometimes became a victim of his own poisoning when he forgot on which foods he had placed his toxic chemicals. Number 8. Jesse Pomeroy. Pomeroy started his cruel acts against other children when he was 11. He had taken and trapped 7 children in a hidden spot where he would strip, tie and torture them, by using a knife or by poking pins into their flesh. He was caught and sent to a reform school, where he was supposed to stay until he was 21, but was released after a year and a half for good behavior. After 3 years, he had changed from bad to worse. He kidnapped and killed a 10-year-old girl, named Katie Curran, and was also accused of the murder of a 4-year-old boy, whose mutilated body was found in Dorchester Bay. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, which he served in solitary confinement. He died of natural causes at the age of 72. Number 9. John Venables and Robert Thompson. James Bulger's mother left her 2-year-old son at the butcher shop's door thinking that it would not take her long to return, since there was no queue in the store. Little did she know that it would be her last time she would see her son alive. John and Robert, who were at the same mall as the Bulgers, were participating in their usual activities, skipping class, browsing the stores, pocketing things when the salespeople turned their backs, and climbing chairs in the restaurants until they were chased out. The boys came up with an idea to have a little boy get lost outside so that he would get knocked over by a vehicle. It was reported that the boys had a similar previous attempt on a boy before James, which failed because the mother had become aware of her missing child and found him before they could take him outside during their 2-mile walk. Number 10. Mary Bell. Brian Howe was found dead and covered with purple weeds and grass, days after the death of Martin Brown, who died of asphyxiation. His hair was cut away, puncture marks were found on his thighs, and his genitals were partially skinned. Apart from these marks and injuries, a letter M had been imprinted on his stomach. This was originally an N, but Mary added a line to make it look like an M. The 3-year-old boy had been strangled to death. When the investigation narrowed down to Mary Bell, she implicated herself by describing in detail a pair of broken scissors, which was confidential evidence, that had been played with by an 8-year-old boy whom Brian was allegedly with, according to Bell. Mary's family background may be responsible for her unusual behavior. Mary ended up at an all-boys facility after a trial.
Want to see more top 10 videos like this one? Subscribe now and join our community.